Hey guys, welcome to Potato Reads Reddit. We have some stories for you today that are really interesting, so I'm not going to waste any time. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and that notification bell too if you feel like it, and we will get right into the stories today. And our first story is from a throwaway account. Am I the asshole for making my stepsister and stepmom look for my lost necklace? Throwaway because I have relatives on Reddit. I, 17 female, have a necklace that was made for me by a friend who does wire wrapping. It's the prettiest thing I own, and my friend moved last year, so it's my memory of her. My dad married his girlfriend last year, and her daughter, 15 female, and I don't get along. She's annoying and whines about everything, and she always wants to borrow my stuff, and then loses or breaks it or something. My stepmom just enables that, and gives her whatever she wants to shut her up. It's dumb. Anyway, she really likes my necklace, but I won't let her touch it because I know how she is. She wanted to wear it with an outfit for her birthday party and at her dad's a week ago, and I said no. So she whined to her mom, who told me to let her wear it to keep the peace. I told my dad, and he said I didn't have to let her wear it, so I didn't. On the day of the party, though, I noticed it's gone from my jewelry box, and stepmom admits she took it and let my stepsister wear it since it was so important to her. I was so mad. I was going to just tell my dad, but he was away for work for a couple of days, and I decided to wait till he got back. Stepsister said she would give it back the next day, but I saw it in the floor in the bathroom that night and took it back before it could get broken. I decided to teach her a lesson, so I hid it and then asked for it back the next day. She couldn't find it, so her mom and her went through her room from top to bottom trying to find it, and when they couldn't, stepmom said she would buy me a nicer one to replace it. But I told her she can't replace something my friend made, and she stole something my dad already said I didn't have to share, and this is why I don't like either of them. My dad came home and found out what happened and had a big fight with stepmom about it. They're sleeping in separate rooms. Stepsister is grounded. I'm planning on finding the necklace because the point is made. Most of my friends think it's deserved, but a couple think I should have just told my dad and not made them look for a necklace I already had back. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. Like, it is a lie, and I knew where the necklace was, so making them run around trying to find it so my dad wouldn't find out is kind of manipulative. OP, you're 17, you're so young. I'm gonna say you're not the asshole. You're in a position where you have no power, so you used what was at your fingertips to sort of teach them a lesson in not crossing boundaries with you, but try not to use these tactics in the future. They will come back to bite you in the ass 9 chances out of 10. So, don't maybe fess up to your dad, take him aside and say, look, I found my necklace. I found it that day. I just didn't want them freaking out at me, and tell them, that this is not okay. I'm not happy here. And honestly, I'm 17. In another year, I no longer have to be anywhere near you guys. And take it from there, right? Because that's what's going to happen if they keep going down this road, if they keep favoring your stepsister. Your dad needs to have your back in a more active way, and he needs to put his foot down with this kind of backstabbing, manipulative behavior of your stepsister and your stepmother, because it's doing him and you harm. You might just want to let it lie, honestly, and not even tell them that you found the necklace. Put that necklace somewhere safe, maybe at your mom's house, and don't, go back. Let this play its course, because regardless of whether you found the necklace or not, they still crossed a boundary, and if that boundary gets uncrossed, then they don't learn any lesson at all, and that's where my mind is. But this is a very adult game that you're playing, OP, so be careful, because the consequences will be adult consequences. And those consequences are things like the loss of relationships, the loss of connection with parents, the destruction of trust with authority figures in your life. So be careful, because you are playing with fire. But I think that utilizing that fire in this scenario is justified. And that's where I'm going to leave that. So why don't you guys let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And I'm going to move on to the comments from the post. Evocative Enigma says, not the asshole. Your stepmom is an asshole for allowing her daughter to steal your items. That was a handmade gift from a friend. Your father definitely needs to know how horrible his wife treats you, and how she lets her daughter mistreat you as well. If her daughter wanted a necklace so badly, her mom should have gone and bought one herself, if it was so important that she had to wear it. Is it petty? Yes. Yes, it is. But in my opinion, you are a justified asshole in this case, since not only did they steal from you, then your stepsister was so irresponsible with your necklace. Mediocre Tiger 885 says, "Not the asshole. This was necessary in this situation, and it got your point through. They should have listened to you in the first place, but make sure you know where you found it so they can't get annoyed. I hope they learn to leave your things alone in the future." Banneresis19 says, "Just wanted to warn OP not to share plans or lessons like these with any of her friends in the future. Stepmom might somehow pressure them into confessing the truth, or their parents might find out and warn your stepmom. You're not wrong, I'm just saying be more careful about it." La Rochelleville says, "Just a bit of advice for the future. Quote, most of my friends think it's deserved. When you do stuff like this, don't tell anyone. Your friends could tell someone who then tell your family. Then the poop will hit the fan and you will get in trouble. Learn how to keep a secret." OP responds to that saying, "These are camp friends and they don't live here or know my family. We were Zooming when I was talking to them about it, not at home, so low chance of anyone finding out. Yeah, not going to talk about this to anyone here unless I tell my dad, which I might because I think he would get it and appreciate the joke. My dad is cool. The fight is about her trying to bribe me not to tell him, as well as stealing the necklace." Emma Wood 2200 says, "Oh my god, bribe you? What did she offer? Also, don't tell your dad." OP responds to that saying, "She said she would buy me whatever prom dress I wanted to make up for it, if I would agree to drop it and not tell my dad. Like, a prom dress is going to be better than watching her crash and burn after that mess?" Alright guys, that's it for that story and the comments. Why don't you let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and we will move on to the next story, which was posted by Forrest3575. Am I the asshole for getting a supermarket employee fired after he left a note with his phone number on my wife's windshield? Context. Wife and I were out shopping at the supermarket yesterday morning. I noticed a guy, he worked there, following us from spot to spot, sort of like checking out my wife. I wasn't sure, but he kept trying to start conversations with her by offering to get her XYZ product. I felt annoyed, plus the guy was roughly 21 to 22, so 10 years younger than me. Once we got our stuff and walked to the parking lot, I saw a note with a phone number on the windshield. I couldn't help but connect the dots, as this is my wife's car and she's a regular shopper, so the staff knows her and most likely know her car. I figured it was someone who knew my wife. Wife asked that I throw it away and get in the car, but I took the note, walked inside the supermarket, and started dialing the number. I wait a few seconds and a phone starts ringing. I look near the register and see my guy standing there with a puzzled look on his face, looking at his phone. I immediately and loudly confront him about leaving a note with his phone number on my wife's windshield. He tries to act dumb, asking what I'm talking about. My wife comes inside and says we should go, but I refuse. At this point, customers and workers are just staring at us. I demand to see the manager while the guy keeps denying, saying he had no idea how his number got there. The manager comes in minutes later and I tell him everything. He apologetically agrees it was inappropriate and unprofessional and borderline harassment. He then tells the guy to go out back and then tells me he'll take care of it, then further apologizes to my wife. Later I found out that the guy was fired. My wife said I caused a huge issue for no reason, and there was no harm in letting that guy just keep his job. I said she was being unreasonable to think I made him lose his job. She said no, but I could have tossed the note instead of making a scene and causing this college student, how did she know, to lose his income when it's a frequent thing for guys that age to act like that. I don't know, because I feel guilty for escalating things to this degree. I feel pathetic, honestly, and like I acted out of insecurity and anger. Am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I might be the asshole for not letting it go and making a scene, then getting this guy fired. I do think I overreacted. You think, OP? You think you might have overreacted? I mean, it's not cool that he left his number on your wife's windshield, especially while you were there. And that is, yeah, absolutely something that, that's a jerk move. But do you think you might have overreacted just a little there, OP? You could have very easily gone in, politely asked somebody at a cash register to speak to a manager, discussed it quietly, and had the situation dealt with and been a reasonable human being. But no, you decided to go full Hulk, disrupt an entire store like King of the Karens, and just destroy this poor young fella's life in an instant. Yeah, I mean, he did wrong, and he needed to learn a lesson, but that was a little over the top, OP. That made you look like a huge asshole. Even though, technically, you are not the asshole, because you were just protecting and defending your wife. Because that is harassing behavior, and it is super uncool. But you did not deal with that the best. You might want to take a look at those insecurities of yours there, bud, and think about the way you acted there, and think about how you want to conduct yourself in the future, because you did not look like the good guy in that situation. Even if you were the good guy, you didn't look like the good guy. Perception is a lot in the world. So be careful how you are perceived by others, because word does get around whether you like it or not. So I'm going to go with not the asshole, but do some work on yourself there, bud. Alright, now we're going to move on to the comments from the post. Annie Trey says, not the asshole. That was not borderline harassment, that was harassment, and that employee had what was coming. Also, I strongly suspect this must have been the last straw for him getting fired. I'm sure since this guy is so unprofessional that the manager has been just waiting for an offense large enough to fire him, so don't blame yourself. I can appreciate that your wife didn't want to cause a scene, but I really think you did the right thing. You just made that store a safer place for other shoppers as well. Edit. I understand that people saying you're the asshole are mostly coming from a place of thinking that because your wife asked you not to escalate things and you doing it anyway, that this makes what you did wrong. I disagree because personally I feel like this situation was about a lot more than just your wife. This guy was probably harassing other women too. I know what you did made your wife uncomfortable, but it's better she experienced some discomfort than more people get harassed and potentially stalked. People like that employee need to be put in their place before something worse happens. And on the off chance your wife was into it, it still doesn't make what that employee did okay. It doesn't matter whether interest was reciprocated. Employees should not flirt with customers during business hours. Frankly, I don't care whether your motivation came from insecurity or not. You being upset led to you doing the right thing, and that's what matters. Mrs. Glock 21 says, not the asshole. Guys that are like this in their 20s will grow up to be creeps like this in their 40s. I was in my mid-20s and had moved to a new state. I was offered a job at Dunkin' the day we applied for our new apartment. After about a month of being there, I noticed a note on my windshield of my car one day. I looked at it and tossed it. The next day I drove my truck to work instead. Same thing happened. I tossed the number again. I go home and tell my boyfriend what is going on. The next day when I go to leave for work, he hops in my car with me. He sat in my car waiting for the creep to do it again. Sure enough, he goes to put this number on my windshield and out pops my boyfriend from the car. He told the guy to stop harassing me. He actually tries to come in the store to apologize to me, but I wasn't hearing it. Good on you for saying something. He got what he deserved. Donkey in a Man-Suit says, not the asshole. Your wife might not feel violated, but think about this. This time he followed a woman around the store and then left a note on her car. What if next time he follows a woman home? He absolutely needs to learn that he cannot behave that way. Chad's ex responds to that saying, he followed her around while her husband was with her. This guy is a freaking creep. Alright guys, that's it for that story. Why don't you let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next one, which was posted by Vibagonia. Am I the asshole for sharing a bed with my 20 female brother, 26 male? I know this story may sound absurd, but bear with me please. So, I'm a college student and I've been living with my boyfriend, 21 male, since last year. I'm attending an out-of-state university, by the way. My brother had some business to do in a nearby city from today till Friday. He decided to take a little detour and arrive at my place on Saturday and spend the weekend with me, and then take an early morning flight to his destination on Monday, since it's close by. I had a very busy and tiring day prior to his arrival though, so I told him that I was going to leave the door unlocked, and he could just come in as I didn't want to be woken up. He was supposed to get to my apartment around 6 a.m. My boyfriend left on Friday to spend the night at his parents' house because his mom was not feeling well. He knew that my brother was coming over. My brother arrives on Saturday at around 6:30 a.m. He tries to wake me up, but to no avail. He tells me, if you're not gonna wake up, at least let me get into bed, cause it's cold and I'm sleepy too. I say okay and he gets in. We immediately fall asleep. My boyfriend's yelling wakes us up at around 10:30 a.m. He starts saying how this is basically cheating, asked if we had intercourse, if we were in an incestuous relationship, etc. That this is absolutely disgusting and mega inappropriate and other delusional things like that. I tell him that we've always shared a bed while living at home and that this is 100% platonic. He lets me know that we were snuggling under the blankets while sleeping. I tell him, yeah, that's what people do when they share a bed and it's cold. I start to get really angry at him at this point for constantly trying to sexualize me and my brother's relationship. So I tell him that I'm going to spend the weekend with my brother at a hotel, and until I come back, he better learn how to manage his irrational jealousy of his. I'm back at my apartment now, but my boyfriend gives me the cold shoulder. Alright, so for whatever reason there isn't a thing with the usual OP tells us why they think they're the asshole. So, OP, I have a sister and we do not have that kind of a relationship, but I do not like to base other people's sibling relationships off of mine and my sister's, because me and my sister, from a very young age, were taught to compete with each other, play off of each other's insecurities, and basically just be adversarial with each other, so we basically hate each other's guts. It's unfortunate. I tried to repair the relationship at one point. I've been to counseling for it, but my sister is just having none of it. And it's even worse because she is a classic Type A personality. But I digress. Enough about my messed up childhood. OP, I don't think that you're the asshole. Personally, I think it's weird, but it's obviously not sexual. And the only reason I think it's weird is because my sibling relationship is so toxic that we haven't spoken in 3 years. So I'm going to say not the asshole. I don't think that there's anything weird going on. I think that, what I'd like to ask is, ask your boyfriend, what kind of sites have you been visiting there, buddy? Because that's a weird conclusion to immediately jump to if it's your brother that's in the bed with you. Assuming that you're both fully clothed, which is not, we weren't given that information, but I'm assuming that you were both fully clothed and that you were just sleeping. So, yeah, OP, not the asshole. Your boyfriend needs some therapy for his jealousy, and he needs to get off them dirty sites. Okay, so that's about all I have to say about that. So we're going to move on to the comments from the post. Gilgamesh is my king says, not the asshole. Is he an only child? Just curious. Some people can't understand sibling bonds. Either an only child or siblings who doesn't have a good relationship. Even then, friends cuddle sometimes too, siblings even more so. I have a nephew whom I live with. We look more like siblings than aunt and nephew. And on a typical free time, we would be on the couch, legs tangled together while I'm on my phone and he's on his Switch. It's normal. If he doesn't change his stance on this, you should break up with him. Next thing you know, he's going to sexualize you and your father's relationship when he gives you a hug and a kiss, or, God forbid, when he walks you down the aisle. OP responds to that saying, yeah, he's an only child. T-Funky365 says, not the asshole. Your boyfriend though? Sheesh. Chupalala69 says, yeah, he basically thought, you must be cheating on me, so incest, right? Not the asshole. Cinnamon Girl says, not the asshole. This is his weird sexual issue. I guess it is privilege too. It is like only a few hundred years since every family lived in one room. Purple Moomin says, less than a few. My father is from 1941, and when he was young, they had an apartment with one bedroom for his parents, him and his sister. They didn't get their own rooms until my grandparents had enough money for a house later. Alright guys, that's it for that story. Why don't you let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next one, which was posted by Ordjai. Am I the asshole for getting my coworker fired after he said he was looking out for me? For some context, I, 19 female, landed a job in sales. It's very demanding, and most days you feel burnt out when you go home. Our boss knows this and organized a team building trip. Fully paid, Michelin star restaurants, 5-star hotel, closed a whole club for us and paid the tab fully. We go and I am having the time of my life. After we went clubbing, my coworker Joe, 41 male, saw me walking back to the hotel with 2 other coworkers, both male, early 20s. He pulled me aside and told me those two were known to pressure female coworkers and act inappropriately. I was surprised because they were my work best friends and I never got that vibe from them. Joe kept insisting they'll try something with me and started walking with us. He tried to put his hand on my shoulder, like how couples walk, but I quickly shrugged it away and started babbling about my boyfriend and how much I love him. Joe started showing me pictures of his daughter and I calmed down. I figured he was just looking out for me. Peter, my other coworker, got annoyed and commented how it's really inappropriate for Joe to be trying to hug me and keeps grabbing my arm. The two got into it and I just urged them to walk back faster so it could all be over. We went into Peter's room, it was planned, to play drinking games with some other colleagues, and Joe followed even after Peter told him to frig off. Later in the night, most people were drunk and watching a movie on Peter's bed, and I went on the balcony. Joe came out and started telling me how good of an idea it was if I left with him and went to his room because Peter was really being inappropriate. He wasn't. Joe then randomly blurted out how beautiful I was and how young I was, and he grabbed my hands in his. I freaked and saw Peter had heard the last part coming out. Peter walked me to my room, told me to lock the door and file a complaint with HR when we go back. We return, I went to HR and reported Joe, and he ultimately got fired. His wife found my number somehow, I'm guessing because Joe was IT in the company and had access to personal info. Oh, another IT guy, man, stop making us look bad. Anyway, she called me, introduced herself, and screamed at me that I was ungrateful, stupid, and naive, and Joe had just tried to keep me safe. She said I ruined their life and they were facing foreclosure because of me. Am I the asshole? I don't think I read the whole interaction so catastrophically wrong. I really did get creeped out a lot. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I reported my coworker after he creeped me out at a team building trip and his wife called me and said I overreacted and he was just looking out for me. OP, first off, absolutely not the asshole. Second off, not all IT guys are creepy. I promise you, some of us are really nice guys who do not pull that crap, who are happily married and don't randomly hit on women at work, as I put my hand up. But no, you're absolutely not the asshole, OP. That was super creepy. He was just tap dancing over boundaries. That was wrong. So not the asshole at all. And you did the right thing. That needed to be reported to HR, because even if you got out of that situation, what's to say he doesn't wind up for a couple of drinks with just him and a couple of other females from the office and things do not go in their favor. So yeah, not the asshole, OP. You did the right thing. He needed to be reported to HR and he needed to be fired. So I'm going to say not the asshole, and we're going to move on to the comments from the post. Anti-Fascist says, not the asshole. The guy was creeping on you and his wife is in denial. He deserved to get fired after that. Another user responds to that saying, agreed, not the asshole. I'm sure it's easier for his wife to believe him and his version because that's what she has been hearing and it's easier to swallow than her husband wanting to cheat on her. Limitless Megan says, I'm sorry you're in foreclosure. Maybe you should be yelling at your husband who tried to take advantage of a drunk 19-year-old. Or you should ask him what else he has against him at work because it's weird he got fired over one infraction. If you call or message me again, I will file a harassment complaint against you with the police. Also, I'll be letting HR know that your husband seems to have access to my personal information using the company's resources. Also, tell HR. Artless One says, not the asshole. Classic nice guy stuff. You read the situation for exactly what it was and acted appropriately. You should also let your bosses know ASAP this guy provided your personal phone number to his wife, who has in turn made a harassing phone call. If it happens again, file a criminal complaint. Fiona9 says, exactly. How did this nice guy manage to get a hold of your phone number? Just adds to his sketchiness. OP has provided us with a little update, so I'm going to read that now. Edit. Thank you for your nice responses. I was afraid I read too much into it. For everyone saying this trip is a disaster for HR, probably. This is the typical fashion a sales team would celebrate reaching goals. Is it too much? Definitely. Did I go because I would never pay for something like this myself but wanted to experience it at least once? Absolutely. I asked Peter and he said coworkers have been known to have intercourse on these trips, but it's consensual. Most of us in sales are between 20 and 30 years old and still in the party mode. This was a celebration for breaking some records in the company. There are many more company events geared towards family life: picnics, sightseeing, sangria parties, pet walks, you name it, they have it. We also have very nice bonuses for our hard work. These trips are not a compensation, not really. They are something extra, I guess. I went because I know Peter. I even know his parents and girlfriend, and I felt like I'd have a buddy at all times. Alright guys, that's all the stories we have for today. I want to thank you for spending this 20 minutes to a half an hour with me each day. It really does mean the world to me. I am so grateful to all of you, all the likes, any comments. Nothing but gratitude to you guys, and I love doing this, and I love the fact that people are enjoying it. So thank you very much. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and that notification bell too. It really does help out the channel. It means the world when you do that, and that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you're having a great night, whatever, and I will see you on the next one. Alright guys, bye!